The Thyssen-Bornemisza National Museum in Spanish, the Museo Nacional Thyssen-Bornemisza, named after its founder, or simply the Thyssen, is an art museum in Madrid, Spain, located near the Prado Museum on one of the city's main boulevards. It is known as part of the Golden Triangle of Art, which also includes the Prado and the Reina Sofia National Galleries. The Thyssen-Bornemisza fills the historical gaps in its counterparts' collections. In the Prado's case, this includes Italian primitives and works from the English, Dutch and German schools, while in the case of the Reina Sofia it concerns Impressionists, Expressionists, and European and American paintings from the 20th century. With over 1,600 paintings, it was once the second largest private collection in the world after the British Royal Collection. A competition was held to house the core of the collection in 1987–88 after Baron Thyssen, having unsuccessfully sought permission to enlarge his museum in Lugano Villa Favorita, searched for a better suited location elsewhere in Europe. The collection was started in the 1920s as a private collection by Heinrich, Baron Thyssen-Bornemisza de Kazan. In a reversal of the movement of European paintings to the US during this period, one of the elder Baron's sources was the collections of American millionaires coping with the Great Depression and inheritance taxes. In this way he acquired old master paintings such as Ghirlandaio's portrait of Giovanna Tornabuoni once in the Morgan Library and Carpaccio's Night from the collection of Otto Kahn. The collection was later expanded by Heinrich's son Baron Hans Heinrich Thyssen-Bornemisza from 1921 to 2002, who assembled most of the works from his relatives' collections and proceeded to acquire large numbers of new works from Gothic art to Lucian Freud. The collection was initially housed in the family estate in Lugano in a 20-room building modeled after the Neue Pinakothek in Munich. In 1988, the Baron filed a request for building a further extension designed by British architects James Stirling and Michael Wilford, but the plan was rejected by the Lugano City Council. In 1985, the Baron married Carmen Tita Cervera, a former Miss Spain 1961, and introduced her to art collecting. Cervera's influence was decisive in persuading the Baron to relocate the core of his collection to Spain, where the local government had a building available next to the Prado. The Thyssen-Bornemisza Museum officially opened in 1992, showing 715 works of art. A year later, the Spanish government bought 775 works for $350 million. These pieces are now in the purpose-built museum in Madrid. After the museum opened, in 1999, Cervera loaned 429 works of her own art collection to the museum for 11 years. The loan was renewed annually for free from 2012. The Baroness remains involved with the museum. She personally decided the salmon pink tone of the interior walls and in May 2006, publicly demonstrated against plans of the mayor of Madrid, Alberto Ruiz Gallardón, to redevelop the Paseo del Prado, as she thought the works and traffic would damage the collection and the museum's appearance. In 2015, the Baroness delayed the annual renewal of her loan while deciding whether or not to temporarily move her collection for a fee to a museum in Barcelona, the United States, or Russia. She eventually decided to keep the collection in Madrid, but in 2017, she again delayed signing the agreement. In 2021, the Ministry of Culture officially finalized an agreement to loan the collection for an annual fee of €6.5 million over the course of 15 years. The purchase became the cornerstone of this outstanding collection, which, together with the Museo Nacional del Prado and the Museo Nacional Centro de Arte Reina Sofia, form Madrid's famed Triangle of Art. The addition of the Carmen Thyssen-Bornemisza collection, on loan from the Baron's widow since 2004, enlarges the presentation to nearly 1,000 works of art and spanning the history of Western art from the 13th century onward. Masterpieces abound from such giants as Duccio di Boninsegna, Jan van Eyck, Vitor Carpaccio, Lucas Cranach, Albrecht Dürer, Amerie de Caravaggio, Peter Paul Rubens, Franz Hals, Vincent van Gogh, Paul Gauguin, Ernst Ludwig Kirchner, Piet Mondrian, Paul Klee, Edward Hopper, and Robert Rauschenberg. Also of great interest are seminal works from movements not well represented elsewhere in Spain, such as Impressionism, Fauvism, German Expressionism, and the experimental avant-garde of the early 20th century. The Thyssen-Bornemisza's collection shines particularly bright in the areas which are underrepresented in other Spanish museums. Paintings from the Trecento, Italian 14th century, like Christ and the Samaritan Woman by Duccio di Boninsegna, and works by early Netherlandish artists like the Annunciation diptych Grisale by Jan van Eyck are the museum's finest examples of late medieval art. The museum also houses an exquisite collection of 15th century portraits, including one of Giovanna Tornabuoni by Ghirlandaio and one of Young Knight in a Landscape by Carpaccio. Works by Dürer, Caravaggio, Rubens, Frans Hals, and Canaletto help us trace the trajectory of European art between the 16th and 18th centuries. A visit to the museum offers a wonderful opportunity to study both landscape and genre art, two types of paintings that were particularly popular in the Dutch school of the 17th century and amongst 19th century American artists. These paintings also inspired Romantic painters, such as Friedrich, Impressionists like Monet and Degas, and Post-Impressionists like Gauguin and Van Gogh, all of whom are represented in the museum's collection. It also boasts important 20th century avant-garde works, Fauvism, Expressionism, Surrealism, Abstraction, and Pop art. Harlequin with a Mirror by Picasso, Picture with Three Spots, number 196 by Kandinsky, Dream Caused by the Flight of a Bee Around a Pomegranate a Second Before Waking by Dali, The Cock by Chagall, Hotel Room by Hopper and Woman in Bath by Lichtenstein are some of them. The Thyssen-Bornemisza collection is spread around the second floor, where the old masters until the start of the 19th century are found, and the first floor is devoted to the work of the modern masters from Impressionism to the 20th century. The ground floor of the museum, with its own entrance at the start of the main hall, houses the new installation of 180 works from the Carmen Thyssen collection.